The following audio may contain the personal testimonials of some independent Optavia coaches or clients of Optavia. The results relayed in these messages are based on the unique experiences of the participants, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. While you may be inspired by these accounts, please note that any stories of success have not been verified, and your individual path to healthy living and weight loss will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you consult with a healthcare provider before starting a weight loss program. In addition, this audio may contain income or earnings representations of some independent Optavia coaches. Optavia makes no guarantee of financial success. Success with Optavia results from successful sales efforts, which requires hard work, diligence, skill, persistence, competence, and leadership. Please see the Optavia income disclosure statement for statistics on actual earnings of coaches under the U.S. compensation plan, which differs from the international compensation plan. Yours in health, the Optavia team.
Well, hello, everybody. My name is David Bush, and I get the pleasure and the honor to guide you through this Habits of Health presentation. Today, we're going to be talking about element 22 in our life book. If everybody's got their life book right by their side, I'd love to see it. Love to see it on the screen and just remind ourselves that this is the journey that we've been taking here. And if you've been joining us on a weekly basis, you have been experiencing an element by element walkthrough where we're kind of working through this life book together as we begin to create optimal health and well-being in our life. This particular element is one of my favorite elements because it really helps us to understand that health is so much more than just a physical journey. And while some of you right now may be joining in on this process, and this may be the first webinar that you've watched, and it's a good one, all of them are independent and they don't necessarily have to be watched in chronological order, but this particular webinar that you're going to watch is going to be focusing in on some bigger picture things. It's not going to be focusing in specifically on, what you're trying to do to lose weight or eat healthier or exercise. What we're going to talk about today is some things that are more life purpose oriented and helping yourself to go beyond just the idea of a physical journey and really beginning to think about well-being as a total life story. My story is that 11 years ago, I started this health coaching program, and I was living a pretty good life. I think that you could probably define my life with the F word. It was fine. I was enjoying the things in life that were enjoyable. I had 2 or 3 beautiful kids and beautiful wife. I had nice cars. I had a nice house. I lived on a golf course. I had a good job. But I wasn't really feeling like that I was successful and fulfilled. I made good money. I did things that were enjoyable, traveled, things of that nature, but I didn't really feel like I was making a difference in the world. And that was one of the things that I struggled with. And because of my career, I was very busy, I was stressed. And even though I made a lot of income, it wasn't necessarily giving me the freedom to do life on my terms. And so getting healthy was just the start of that process. I was 100 pounds overweight. I ended up losing 100 pounds in the health coaching program of Optavia. And in that process, I began to become awakened about what it would look like to live an extraordinary life versus just an ordinary life. And you may not have ever thought about the idea of living an extraordinary life. It may not have ever crossed your mind, but tonight I want to be able to talk to you a little bit more about what an extraordinary or optimal life would look like and what optimal well-being would look like. If you were to think about organizing your life around what matters most, what would be some of the things that come to mind to you? So let's go ahead and jump in. And if you're on the chat feature, go ahead and throw in a message in the chat of something that you're really passionate about, something that you'd like to accomplish, or maybe something that you'd like to do that would make you feel fulfilled, just to allow the other people that are watching this to be able to experience a little bit about what other people are thinking. Because again, this is not taught in schools. This is not a topic that we end up talking about on a regular basis with friends and family members. This is oftentimes the things that we hide. We don't want to share because we don't want people to, say things that are negative or try to steal our dream away or things of that nature. Or some people just don't even know that it's possible. So let's jump into this thing and start talking a little bit more about what it looks like. So our goals for element 22 is to help you to define what really matters to you, and then to go to explore where you are on the fulfillment success continuum. This is a paradigm that Dr. Anderson has created to help people to understand where they are and where they can go. And he actually walks you through and tells you a little bit more about his own personal story as a top-ranking physician in the US and where he was at in terms of his medical career, but what he was feeling like on the inside, even though he was doing a lot of good in the world, he didn't feel fulfilled and didn't feel like he had his life organized around what matters most. And then our ultimate goal, and last bullet point here, is to empower you to rewrite your story. The life book is the rewriting of your story. It's the writing of your future story. If you've never even thought about your story in the past as being a story that you've written that story with the choices that you've made and the actions that you've taken, with the habits that you've created. And that's in the past. And what we want to do in this life book process and working with your Optavia coach is we want you to help you to really clarify what that future looks like and begin to write it down so that it begins to become like a navigational plan or a navigational chart that you can kind of use to sail your way through the process of life seasons and the storms that you're facing. And so let's jump in and talk a little bit more about this idea of the success fulfillment continuum. So on one axis is the failure success continuum. So when you look at this continuum, failure would be, what you would consider to be failure on all aspects of life. You could say physical, mental, financial, all of the things that you would maybe put into life. You could say, if I was failing at those things, I would maybe put myself down there towards a 1 or a 2. If I was successful, physically, mentally, financially, I would score myself higher on that continuum. And success is not opulent wealth, but it is what I would say financial peace or financial independence. So it's not something where you're struggling on a month-to-month basis. So if you were to look at your score today, what score would you give yourself? Would you go ahead and put that in the chat message and just give us an idea of where you are on this continuum? Great. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for participating. Love that. Great. And hey, if your number is not good right now, if you feel like that you are really failing in life, hey, I'm glad you're here tonight. I'm glad you're with us. I'm glad you're watching this. I'm glad you're participating and that you're rewriting your story, because where you are today doesn't define where you will be in a month from now or a year from now. Sometimes we overestimate what we can do in a year, but we underestimate what we can do in 3 to 5 years. Your life can be significantly different in the next 3 to 5 years if you were to take today and say, this is where I am and I'm not happy about it, and I'm willing to start changing some of the habits and behaviors and decisions to start creating more success and significance in my life. So now let's take a look at the other axis, and this is the fulfillment continuum. So depression would be on the lowest side, and this doesn't necessarily have to be a clinical depression. It can just be something where you're very discouraged. You're going through a very difficult season of life. And if you're really struggling mentally, and if you're really struggling emotionally or relationally, you would maybe give yourself a lower score here. And if you were feeling fulfilled in your relationships and your overall well-being, you feel like your life is according to purpose, you feel like you have a purpose, you're living life according to maybe a mission or a vision that you have for your life, and you feel like that you're making a difference in the world and that your life is fulfilled, go ahead and give your score up there. And if you feel comfortable throwing it in the chat message, this is a healthy community time, so we like to be able to interact and share things with one another. So go ahead and throw your score inside of the chat message, and we'll continue the conversation. All right, thanks everybody. Great. All right, well, where are you in this continuum? When you look at your score on the vertical axis or the horizontal axis, the failure success continuum, where did you score yourself? And then where did you score yourself on the vertical axis of the fulfillment axis? Did you find yourself higher on that axis, or were you down towards the bottom? And when you can kind of create that cross section of where you will find yourself, you'll find yourself in one of 4 areas. Some people are burned out. If you're low on both sides of those continuums, you're going to be probably feeling depressed and failing, and maybe you're really starting out at a place that many of us have had, challenges in life, and we've had seasons of life, and maybe that's the place that you're in right now. Maybe your physical health is failing, mental, relationships, finances. It's just a really tough season. But just knowing where you are at and knowing that there's an opportunity for you to create improvement, and all you need to do is simply create a plan of action to move you from wherever you are to wherever you want to go. And this is where the benefits of Optavia can come in, because the coach will actually provide you with some perspective. They'll provide some stories and some people that have gone from wherever you are to wherever they wanted to go. And maybe that's a similar place that you want to go. So no matter if you're at the burned out quadrant or if you're in the worn out quadrant, or maybe you're like a lot of people in America that are contented and they're fulfilled, but they're failing in life. They're not necessarily succeeding financially. They're not, they're basically just a couple of paychecks away from bankruptcy. They're just barely getting by. They're living in a job that they don't necessarily care for, but it pays well and it pays the bills and it keeps them, somewhat contented. But they're not thriving and fulfilled and successful in all areas of life. And again, you have to decide how you want to live your life. I would say that a contented, fulfilled, but failing life is an ordinary life in the US of A. There's many people maybe across the world that are watching this webinar, but most people in America are pretty content. And I love there's a definition of complacency that is defined in Merriam-Webster's dictionary, and it's the act of becoming self-satisfied, unaware of possible dangers. And are you maybe content or complacent and not feeling like that you are really succeeding in the world? Maybe this is your wake-up call to maybe design a bigger life, an extraordinary life, and begin to think about some of the things that are meaningful to you. So when you think about your life, what are some of the things that really bring purpose to your life? What are the things that you feel fulfilled when you do them? Or that you'd feel more fulfilled if you had them, or you could be them. When you begin to think about things in life that maybe get you excited, bring a smile back into your life, Dr. Anderson quotes a movie where it talks about, when did you ever get to the point where you just became joyless? And what are the things that maybe bring joy to your life? Is it serving the community? Is it, going out there and organizing a fundraiser? Is it the idea of taking up a new hobby? Is it maybe the idea of traveling more and having more experiences with your family rather than doing, holiday gifts? Maybe it's the idea that you want to switch things up and maybe take your family and friends or spouse on an experience. And that in itself would be exciting to your life. And that can create more well-being. That can give us something to be motivated to accomplish maybe a new physical health goal. Is there something that you'd like to do? I'd love to see it in the chat message. If you'd go ahead and throw in, what are the things in life that you feel would make you feel more fulfilled and more successful? Great. Money, yes, money is something that you can, maybe have more opportunities. It's not the money that's, the root of all kinds of evil. It's the love of money that is the root of all kinds of evil. You can desire to make more money, and you can go deliver more value to the world and earn more money. That's a very honorable thing to do. Loving money for the sake of money is maybe a little bit more of a dangerous position to be in, and that's not what we're promoting. What we're promoting in this model of Element 22 is the idea of you going out there and organizing your life around what matters most. And if what matters most is to take your kids on a vacation someplace that you can really spend some quality time with your family before you maybe have the kids leave the house, that's a really valuable thing to do. And if you were to go out there and to deliver value to the marketplace, whether you got a second job or whether you ended up working overtime or whether you end up becoming a coach with Optavia and helping people to get healthy and got paid for your efforts in doing so, all of those things are honorable things to do. And if you need to do those items, or you need more income to become more thriving and fulfilled, that's not a negative thing. It's just a matter of, what do I want to do to create that opportunity? What do I want to do to create that income? And we see some other things in here, people that, want to have a mission project. They want to build a city in Nicaragua. Those are fun things to think about. I mean, can you imagine the idea of having a full city that you've created or you've built? Now, that may be bigger than what you're dreaming about, but what are you dreaming about? Or when have you stopped dreaming? Who told you that you could no longer achieve your dreams? A lot of people, they say that the average American dies at the age of 44. They just don't bury him until the age of 80. Have you died? Have your dreams died at the age of 44? Or have your dreams died at the age of 34? Or have you never been taught to think bigger? I know that there's a lot of people that grew up in families where dreaming of bigger dreams and having of bigger opportunities and going after big adventures and experiences, It may not have been how you've grown up, but what if you could begin to start writing a new story about the second half of your life? Many of you are in the second half of your life, and you have an opportunity to finish well. And if you were to think about the things in life that really mattered to you, and you could begin to organize your life around them, maybe it's spending more time with your grandkids, or maybe it's spending more time with your teenagers and really, having some experiences. I've seen people that have gone out there and done, visits to different major league ballparks, or, going to specific games together, just really having experiences, taking dancing classes. This is where Dr. Anderson goes beyond just the idea of a physical and mental journey with knowing what to eat and knowing what to do for exercise, and really creating a life of well-being and abundance, that you are fulfilled so that you are no longer trying to feed an unfulfilled life, an unhealthy food habit, or to try to drink something away and to self-medicate to find your euphoria. But you're actually creating that euphoria using this health and lifestyle coaching program as a strategy. So as you begin to think about your own personal well-being, what are some of the things that you'd like to be, do, and have? I challenge you to go back through Element 22 and begin to talk about, with your coach, some things that maybe you'd like to accomplish in this next 3 to 6 or 12 months. What are some things that would really do it for you, that would make you feel like you're living an extraordinary life? And reflect on that. Reflect on some of the things that maybe are gaps in your life, that are just things that you would not like to, go to the grave and not have done. Many of the people that die, they die with the music still in them. They didn't actually play the music out. They didn't give the world the gifts, the talents, the skills. They didn't make their mark. They just lived an ordinary life. And, Henry David Thoreau said, the mass of men and women will live lives of quiet desperation. And let that not be you. You started this journey to get healthier. Now let's go out there and create optimal health and well-being in our life. And let's share the actions that we're going to take with our individual coaches so that they can encourage us. They can share resources and tools and links and information. There's a whole bunch of information that most clients don't even know that's available to them, because they've never asked the question, or they just haven't got to the place in their journey. Maybe they've lost weight and the pain went away or the problem went away, and they just stopped moving forward in their health journey. But if you really pursue this idea of creating optimal health and well-being in your life, you're going to experience a whole new level of coaching from your coach, and you're going to experience a whole new level of resources and support and tools. And, if you feel like that this is something that you'd like to even coach other people on, we call ourselves Optavia coaches, but we're not just health coaches. Maybe you have an interest in actually coaching other people to live a more fulfilled and successful life. If you have an interest in that, talk to the coach that invited you to watch this webinar, or talk to your coach and ask them more about how it could look for you. It may look like just helping a few friends and family members to get healthier, or it may be something where you're truly creating optimal health and well-being in your life using health coaching as a full-time career. Our playlist is on Optavia's YouTube channel. If you go back to Optavia, or you go to youtube.com and you search the word Optavia, you'll see all of Optavia's playlist, which includes all of the little intro messages from Dr. A for each individual element of the life book. You also get a chance to see all of our past history with all of our Habits of Health community times. You also get a chance to see our trilogy webinars, where we have inspirational stories of people that have created health and well-being in their life using the Optavia coach opportunity. So next session will be on Element 23. We'll be talking about mastering your thoughts and emotions. This will be a great opportunity to continue to work on that inner version of you. And we hope that this has been encouraging to you. If this has been beneficial, please share this with somebody else. If you're watching a recording, please make sure that you share this recording with somebody else that you think would benefit, and invite them to join you on the journey to better health and well-being. For now, my name's David Bush, and thank you for joining us today. And I look forward to seeing you guys real soon in the next webinar.
This audio may have contained the personal testimonials of some independent Optavia coaches or clients of Optavia. The results relayed in these messages are based on the unique experiences of the participants, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. While you may be inspired by these accounts, please note that any stories of success have not been verified, and your individual path to optimal health will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you consult with a healthcare provider before starting a weight loss program. In addition, this audio may have contained income or earnings representations of some independent Optavia coaches. Optavia makes no guarantee of financial success. Success with Optavia results from successful sales efforts, which requires hard work, diligence, skill, persistence, competence, and leadership. Please see the Optavia Income Disclosure Statement for statistics on actual earnings of coaches under the U.S. Compensation Plan, which differs from the International Compensation Plan. Yours in health, the Optavia team.